So good evening, everyone. I'll be talking about effects of smoking and alcohol on kidney diseases. So first of all, thanks to the organizer for giving me this platform to express my views. I'll be presenting my topic in the following points. First of all, effect of smoking in the general population, followed by its adverse renal effects in the patients with primary hypertension, renal disease, and then in the primary renal disease, proteinuria, and incident CKD. After that, something briefly about effects of cigarette smoking in the kidney donors and recipient, then briefly about alcohol and kidney diseases. So before we go further about effects of smoking on renal disease, I would just like to highlight the point of impact of smoking in the general population. Worldwide, nearly 6 million deaths are attributed by smoking, and it is expected to rise to 8 million deaths annually by 2030. On an average, a smoker died 10 years earlier than a non-smokers. We all know that smoking is associated with various diseases like cardiovascular disease, COPD, hypertension, cancer, and smokers have high risk of coronary artery disease and stroke that is up to 2 to 5 times. Sorry, I think I can't change the screen. So coming on to the renal effect of smoking in the general population. Even in the patients who are non-hypertensive and non-diabetic, it has been seen that smoking was independently associated with microalbuminuria, and the relationship is dose-dependent. Individual who smokes more than 20 cigarettes per day seems to have a higher urinary albumin concentration. This is a study from Kidney International done in general population, which showed that these patients had slightly higher adjusted creatinine clearance in the former smokers and current smokers. This difference was predominantly found in men and has a weaker association in women. And here also it was found that it was associated with the number of cigarettes smoked per day. And here also again, it was found that the current and former smokers had higher risk of proteinuria. Here there was a theory that maybe the reason was hyperfiltration, because of which these smokers have slightly higher adjusted creatinine clearance, and maybe with the further course of time, it can lead to more kidney injury. In the patients who are hypertensive and had LVH, again, there were higher prevalence of microalbuminuria and macroalbuminuria than the individuals who had never smoked. In diabetic patients, smoking affects all the stages of kidney disease, like the onset of microalbuminuria, progression of microalbuminuria to overt proteinuria, and accelerated decline of GFR in the patients of diabetic nephropathy. If we talk about primary renal disease, there we have plenty of evidence, but the evidences are more substantial for IG and ADPKD. As we can see here, as the number of packs per year are increasing, the rate of terminal renal failure is increasing. It is significantly associated in IgA nephropathy in ADPKD patients. We all know that heavy smoking might be a risk factor for development and progression of post-immune ANCA-positive extracapillary glomerulonephritis, and in anti-GBM patients, smoking strikingly increases the risk of pulmonary hemorrhage. Maybe the mechanism is smoking induces some endothelial cell damage that predisposes to the formation of antibodies against nuclear cell antigen that are excluded from the endothelial cells. If we analyze the result of the CORAL trials, we can see that the smokers were more likely to have bilateral renal artery stenosis and peripheral vascular diseases. And it was also found that the smokers were more likely to have primary composite endpoints like stroke, cardiovascular outcome, deaths, myocardial infarction, and hospitalization. These patients who were smokers were quite younger than the non-smokers. Now, this is a large study done in Korea, published in Nature. It showed that smoking was clearly associated with higher chances of incident CKD in the adult general populations. The risk of CKD was 9% in ex-smokers and 39% in the current smokers. Again, it was showed that it depends on the amount of smoking, duration of smoking, and number of packs per year. We all know that already our kidney patients had higher chances of cardiovascular mortality. With the smoking, the cardiovascular mortality and morbidity further increases, and along with that, they have higher chances of peripheral artery disease and critical limb ischemias. Now, coming on to the histopathology associated with the kidney disease, we have a term known as idiopathic nodular glomerulosclerosis, which is characterized by expanded mesangial matrix, glomerular and tubular basement membrane thickening, and vascular hyalinosis. But here, there should not be a clinical evidence of impaired glucose metabolism. And smoking is one of the risk factors for this. Further, by the studies, it was found that smoking is clearly associated with this nodular glomerulosclerosis. So it is not now idiopathic, it is smoking associated nodular glomerulosclerosis. And I also want to highlight here this, yes, it is a characteristic finding in smokers, but it is not that a common finding. We have other common findings which are found in the vascular pathology. We have hardly less than 100 cases described in the literature so far. Like this, the study published in the kidney disease, it was shown that smokers have twice the risk of myointimal hyperplasia of small arteries and higher risk of arterial hyalinosis and glomerulosclerosis. Because smoking actually have deleterious effect on the kidney, primarily through damaging the small interlobular arteries. I won't bore you much with the pathogenesis, but smoking can lead to so many things in body, like it can increase oxidative stress. Like diabetes, there are high chances of development of advanced glycosylation products. There is increase in sympathetic activation, hypoxia, and also it acts on the nicotine acetylcholine receptors present in the kidney, which leads to increase in fibrogenesis and angiogenesis molecules such as PDGF-alpha, TGF-beta, IGFR, causing hypertension, finally and eventually leading to expansion of extracellular matrix, decline in GFR, and giving a characteristic finding of nodular glomerulosclerosis. Along with that, cigarette smokers are also exposed to significant amount of cadmium and lead, which is found to have accumulated in the kidney tissue than more than any other organ. It has a toxic effect of abuse. It has also been seen that individuals who are smoking more than 20 cigarettes per day for longer periods have 45 to 70% higher chances of accumulation of cadmium in renal cortex. Again, this is a series, this is actually a case series published in AGKD with the patient who were non-hypertensive and non-diabetic. It was found to have that because of the smoking, there were changes mimicking chronic hypertension and chronic or heel TMA-like features. Other than that, they have some FSGS kind of picture with ischemic glomeruli and some kind of IFTA. So coming on to the implications of smoking in kidney disease, in kidney donors, we have now plenty of evidence suggesting that smoking has deleterious effect on recipient and donors both. For example, the study by Dr. Sege, it was shown that there were higher death rate in the kidney donors who were smokers. They were found to have more perioperative and post-operative complications. There was even reduced recipient survival if the donor was a smoker. Fortunately, it was also seen in some studies that there was a significant drop in cigarette smoking after kidney donation. Like here in the recipients also, there are higher chances of graft failure, death-censored graft loss, less graft survival, and like in general population, higher chances of infections and malignancies. Probably due to atherosclerosis, endothelial dysfunctions, and vascular disease, smoking leads to poor patient and graft survival. Coming on to the effects of alcohol in kidney diseases, before going further, I would just like to tell you that like smoking here also, the effects of acute alcohol intoxication are different, chronic alcohol abuse are different, the effects are different with the amount of alcohol consumed. For example, in this study from NEJM, it was found that there are a wide range of defect in renal tubular function, even in the patients who have normal GFR. For example, there were defects in tubular acidification and impairment in urinary concentration ability. There is decrease in the threshold and maximum absorptive capability for glucose and renal threshold for phosphate excretion. In acute intoxication, there are numerous electrolyte abnormalities. For example, lactic acidosis, hypokalemia, hypomagnesemia, and hypophosphatemia, eventually ultimately leading to acute kidney injuries. But we also have studies which showed that compared to non-drinkers, slightly higher alcohol intake had lesser reduction in GFR over 12 years. Here there is another study which was published in JAMA. It was the large cohort of apparently healthy men showed that alcohol consumption was not associated with any increased risk of renal dysfunction. Rather, the data suggested an increased inverse relationship with moderate alcohol consumption and the risk of renal dysfunction. So we have some contradictory studies also here. Like in this study, it was found that heavy smokers and moderate drinkers, on an average, consumption of 30 grams of ethanol per day were associated with a slightly increased risk of developing albuminuria over 5 years of follow-up. So we have mechanism for both deleterious effect of alcohol and some positive effects of alcohol. For example, chronic ethanol injection leads to increased myeloperoxidase expressing cell, leading to induction of inflammatory cell infiltrates, finally leading to other activation of other enzymes like caspase-3, which are increased after ethanol injection, finally leading to reduced GFR, increase in the creatinine and BUN. But the compounds present in alcohol like polyphenols also act as reactive oxygen species scavengers and metal chelators. It increases the activity of antioxidant enzymes. So there's less lipid peroxidation, less protein oxidation, and less deacetylation and inactivation of P53. And by this, I would like to say that, yes, the relationship between alcohol consumption and CKD needs a little research, as the studies, epidemiological evidence are largely contradictory. And although we have seen some favorable effect of alcohol consumption on kidney function, but we should not encourage or justify alcohol consumption, and it is associated with lots and lots of social issues. Thank you.